All right, everyone, welcome back into another live edition of the Patriots Beat podcast here on the CLNS Media Network, presented by all of our wonderful friends over at PrizePicks, Game Time, and PXG. It is Brian Hines from Pat's Pulpit, back as always with Alex Barth from 985thesportshub.com to preview the Patriots welcoming the New York Jets this go around. They obviously played just a few weeks ago, week 3. They got their butts kicked on Thursday Night Football, 24-3, but kind of feels like two completely different teams than just 4 or 5 weeks ago. So we'll get into this one at Gillette Stadium, and it's been quite the eventful week for the Patriots off the field, really. Starting, in London after the game on Sunday, where Gerard Mayo threw the soft allegations out there. I don't want to say he walked it back, but, he started saying that they were just playing soft. They weren't soft. And then we have everything in the wide receiver room going on with, KJ Osborne, Kayshon Boutte talking about their roles in the offense and with the team. And there's a lot of outside noise around the team right now, which, led to Juwan Bentley led team meeting today down there in Foxboro, where they kind of went over all that as a team. So now it's back to the football field where they play the Jets. So kind of vague, but whether it's coaching staff or just the players as a whole, what do you kind of want to see from this team, sitting at 1-6, 6 straight losses, all this stuff going on? Like, how do you want to see them bounce back kind of here against the Jets this week?
Yeah, it's a great question. I actually just asked Phil Perry this. If people want to check out after this, the Sports and Patriots podcast literally opened the same way. I was like, hey, open-ended question, but, what do you want to see? Because there really are so many different ways to look at this game after this week.
It's such a weird week, right? That there's so much going on, but it's just like
on one hand, I hate doing the thing where it's very easy to get caught up in the moment and say whatever game it is that week is a big game, right? And big can have, they're 1-6. What do you mean big game? Like, you can have numerous meanings to that. But it really feels like to me, like we knew this team wasn't going to contend for a Super Bowl. We knew this team probably wasn't going to make the playoffs. All offseason, when we were asked, what is a successful season for the Patriots? We talked about essentially some sort of growth or progress or something. Like, really, and it's not always going to be linear, but are you better week 18 than you were week 1? That's basically what it came down to. And again, I don't want to say, oh, this is like a big game, because it's easy to get caught up as prisoner of the moment. And look, this week was weird, but we've had a lot of weird weeks with this team this year. But it does feel like if they don't show something this week, like, this is a turning point. I guess I'll throw the Titans game next week in there as well, because that's a weaker team. That's a team that they can beat. But, like, do they respond? How do they respond? All the players have said all the right things all week when asked about the soft comments. Yeah, he's challenging us. That was a challenge to us, and we need to respond in kind, and we need to react, which, like, good. That's kind of been a theme, though, where, like, they talk about getting the message, players and coaches alike talk about getting the message, and then you don't actually see that manifest itself. So what does it look like to me to have a successful game here? And I don't even know that it's winning, but do you show some fight, right? Are they winning at the line of scrimmage, which they haven't done in weeks? No social media posts after the game if things don't go your way, like things like that. Like, I don't even know that you need them to win to come out of this game feeling better. Can you just show some sort of progress and some sort of reaction to, kind of falling to the basement of the NFL? And, people are calling for your head coach's job. And, there's people are saying that blow up the roster, this and that. And, like, is there a response? Do they come out and take their frustration out on the Jets? And they can do that and still not win. But do they come out, put it on the field? Brett, we haven't done, like, and this is coming from me, there's been, like, no X's and O's talk this week. Like, again, I just did the show with Phil and we barely did it because they're at this inflection point. Like, for all the talk about what's being said in the locker room and what's being said in the media and what's being posted on social media, can you go out there 11 on 11, lined up, put your hand in the dirt and make a play? Like, I kind of need to see that from them at this point. And I know you got to see the football players play football. Yeah, kind of. because that doesn't seem to be the focus. I think there was one, Kendrick Bourne had a quote today, and Kendrick Bourne was awesome.
Yep.
I want to find the quote, but he did an awesome job today in a time where for this team, there's a lot of people saying a lot of things that shouldn't be said or saying things that could be misconstrued or taken out of context. Kendrick Bourne said what needed to be said without riling anybody up or pointing fingers or anything like that. He just set the tone. And he was asked about, the focus and the message to the young players who he kind of singled out as guys that maybe weren't as attentive as they should be. He said, focus in on what's important. Football is the most important. Losing is creating all this drama. If we want to fix anything, we need to win. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. If they're winning games, you can go post on social media all you want. Gerard Mayo can say what he wants at the podium. It's not going to matter if they're winning games. Show up and do the football part of your job. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. And that was the message from a lot of guys, like even to Alex Van Pelt kind of mentioned that, where like, look, we have a lot of issues right now, but if you win games, it gets a lot easier. So,
Right.
But like big picture, then to your point, like they don't even need to win this game. The Jets are 2-5, but they're probably better. But you want to see some fight, right? Because there hasn't been that fight in the last few weeks, which has led to those soft comments. And especially in this one, like running the ball and stopping the run are going to be two huge components to this game because the Jets defense you can run on. You haven't been able to run the football lately. You want to get back to that. And then on the other side of things, they have, Braylon Allen and Breece Hall, two really good running backs. I think they were like 130 rushing yards against you. It was 130 or 150, but a lot of rushing yards against you in that week 3 matchup. So can you show something here and can you push back and can you respond? Again, they've all said they're going to take these soft comments as a challenge. So can you kind of answer the bell and, as you said, make a play or, show your toughness and, they'll have a chance to kind of do that in the run game this week.
Yeah. To me, it's kind of like, can you give me the Seahawks game again?
Yeah.
Right. If
fair.
they can get back to that, like that to me was, playing that way, not going to win a ton of games. You're going to win some, you're going to be in all of them. Like or most, I guess, like if they can get back to that, then they got to be better. Cause again, it's about progress, but I know the bar's on the floor here, but it kind of is after the last 3 games. Kind of is.
I mean, you've lost 6 straight games, and the last 3 have not. That Seahawks game, I think we walked away from that saying like that's kind of, and you could say the first 2-week window, like that's kind of what we expected from that team, right? Like they might not win all these games, but they're going to be competitive. And now you're getting to the point where they're just getting blown out and they're playing soft, as Gerard Mayo said, and some of that definitely has to do with the personnel. Again, they have key losses, but we expected this coaching staff to be able to make them a little bit more competitive and at least keep these games close. So I think that is a good point with that Seahawks game. Like, could you get something along those lines where you're in the game? Maybe it doesn't go your way at the end, but you're seeing a little bit more fight, seeing a little bit more competitiveness out there. Because that is what we expected. We did expect a somewhat competitive team, even though we didn't expect a lot of wins. I mean, they were like 4.5 win total on Vegas entering the year. So we knew they were going to be bad, but we wanted to see some fight and some competitiveness. So getting back to that would be a good start. But if you want to touch on some X's and O's, is there anything you'd like to see from either Van Pelt or Covington? We'd heard from both of those guys today that could help them get back to that competitive nature and maybe kind of tweak some things here with the scheme and with the X's and O's going forward.
The big one for me is the quarterback design runs. Like you got to spark something in the run game. And he talked about today, there's different sorts of runs we can try. I get maybe they don't want to expose Drake Maye to too much contact, but like you got to be able to run the football. You have to be able to run the football. He's been able to do it on scrambles. Like the design run should help. And then on top of that, just not necessarily X's and O's in the design, but like Alex Van Pelt, get a feel for the game and understand what's working. If the Jets are stopping the run, throw the ball. Like we did last week. I think part of the reason, if you look at it, the Patriots were actually 9th in the league in yards per carry through the first 5 weeks. They were I have it here. Hang on. They were 4.9 yards per carry through the first 5 weeks. Pretty good. Yeah. They're with Drake Maye scrambles 2.3. They're at 1.9 yards per carry without a scrambles in the last 2 weeks, which is obviously like not good. It's bad. I do wonder, not even wonder, like I look at it and I think some of that is opposing teams see a rookie quarterback. And what are you going to do with even a top draft pick? You see a rookie quarterback as a defensive coordinator, you're going to make him beat you throwing the football, right? You're going to make the kid prove he belongs in this league. Drake May's been doing that, not to the point where they've gotten a win, but if he keeps throwing the ball this way, at a certain point, teams are going to have to allocate more resources towards defending the pass. Now, maybe it's never going to be like a 8-man drop thing just because because their receivers don't command that kind of respect. But maybe use the pass to set up the run. Like put this thing on Drake May's shoulders, right? And that could happen in a number of different ways. Like there's no one play you call to do that. But I don't think it's a coincidence they haven't been able to run the ball since Drake May became the quarterback. I think he's done enough where teams should have to respect the pass. But the fact the Patriots are still losing, and some of this is because of the defense. Now we're getting complimentary football. They're just not doing it. But if you can put Drake May in a position where he's able to show out, and now it's like we need 2 high safeties. We can only put 5 in the box. We need these guys out on the perimeter. That's going to lighten things up on the run game as well. And by the way, that's one of his core philosophies. Pass set up to run, like coming from a West Coast system, right? So it's a little different West Coast, not run with Bill Walsh ran, but yeah, I think that could help out as well.
Yeah, I mean, Drake's been one of the statistically one of the best downfield passers in the last 2 weeks since he's taken over. So maybe you do start to see some more lighter boxes, and then that can help the run game. And yeah, I've been saying it too. Like, get Drake involved. He's off the injury report today, so that knee is whatever it was is good. So maybe now is finally the time where they say like, okay, let's get some of these read options going. The design quarterback run game. We saw him in pistol a handful of times for the first time last week. So maybe they work off that and get some of that run game going because they need to run the football and help him that way. And he can do that with his legs. So that would be a welcome sight there. But his receivers, a lot of, and we can get back to Drake in a second, what you want to see from him in this game, but the receivers have been such a big topic of conversation this week. Just what are you expecting? Jalen Polk hasn't practiced with the concussion. He's likely going to be out. Most times with those head injuries, you miss a week anyway. How do you think that rotation is going to look this week? Is Javon Baker going to sub back in? And KJ Osborne and Kendrick Bourne, like how are you expecting the wide receiver room to look this week against the Jets, who play a lot of man coverage? They played a lot of man coverage in week 3 when you played them, and then they've only dialed it up a little bit more since they made the head coaching change. So you're going to get a lot of man coverage. So how are you looking at this Patriots wide receiver room this week?
This is where I wonder. So you're going to have Bourne, Douglas, Booty, that's their top 3, but they've been using a 4-man rotation pretty much all year. And Polk's been that 4th guy, and he's been the 3rd guy. Booty's been the 4th guy. He'll now move up. And that leaves you with 3 options: Osborne, Baker, and Thornton. I don't think it's going to be Thornton. They seem beyond done with him. And objectively, the right call. I don't know why they spent so much time with him this summer. We all kind of knew at the time that didn't seem right. But nothing you knew about that now. That time's been spent. I'd give Javon Baker some run this week. I would. He didn't look great at the beginning of the season, and he did look a little out of place. But you used a 4th-round pick on the guy. You can't quit on him after 2 games. And maybe he shows you something. I think they're going to go with KJ Osborne just because he's more reliable, and that's what's better for Drake May. You heard Alex Van Pelt today call KJ Osborne one of the leaders in the wide receiver room, which doesn't sound great when the guy's essentially demanding a trade, but that tells you that they believe in him. So I think Osborne's going to get that role back as the 4th guy, but they got to give Baker another chance at some point. Like, look at Kayshon Boutte. I think he's a great example where he was a 6th-round pick. He was not a guy that they realistically needed to go back to. They didn't go back to him last year. It took until this year and a new coaching staff and all of that. But I think you have to give him another shot. Again, it didn't look good in camp. He struggled more as camp went on, but he's had a few weeks now to kind of sit behind the scenes and digest it. And you need a spark. You need a spark, and he definitely is the kind of player that can give you one. Whether or not he does, you're 1-6. What do you have to lose by finding out?
Yeah. Yeah. Kendrick Bourne mentioned he's still playing, he's mostly on scout team. So I don't know how much he would be involved, but yeah, I'd like to see him get
So
the
do you think
reps,
he was
right?
supposed to be active last week?
I do. Because
I think so too.
so me and Taylor were trying to put this together. They had uh Polk, Bourne, Pop, Polk, Bourne, Pop, Booty, and then right? Is that the four? That's the top four. Polk, Pop, Bourne, Booty, and then they had a fifth, which was KJ Osborne, who found out he was going to be active the night before the game, and it wasn't because of Douglas. So I'm guessing that was supposed to be Baker's spot, but he was sick, and then they had to go to Osborne. That's how I kind of put it together. Is that what your wavelength was thinking there?
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So I think like just number wise, it looked like maybe Javon was going to get a shot, and then he pops up with the illness, and then they have to switch to go to Osborne and pivot at the last moment there. So yeah, maybe he is getting his shot here, and I think it's worthwhile. Again, as you said, it's 1-6, so who knows? But as long as the last few weeks, because we asked Van Pelt a few weeks ago, and he said like it was still kind of the mental side of the game. So as long as he's got that right, and he's not actively hurting like Drake Maye and hurting the offense out there, I think it's worth a shot because he can help in the skill set. Like he's a vertical receiver. That's where Drake Maye has been very good again. So I think getting him out there, and then you could play some of the other guys in more of their natural spots, like Kayshon Boutte and Kendrick Bourne. They're always going to have to play like the X on the backside all the time. So I think that would be it's worth a shot. As you said, it's just kind of worth a shot to get him out there and see how it looks. Because again, he was a 4th round pick. So it'd be nice to get him. And I do think he was going to be active. So maybe that's how it plays out this week. But we'll wait and see there. But Polk isn't going to play, it looks like. Do you think that's kind of almost a good thing that he's just, you obviously don't want him dealing with a concussion, but like,
Right.
might just be a good thing to be kind of like, hey, I mean, you were saying like send him to the 9th floor if he was on the Bruins here. Like this is kind of doing that. Unfortunately, it just comes with an injury, but do you think it might be good for him to kind of step back, take a game, 2 off, and just kind of mentally reset and then see how it looks after that?
Yeah, like we talked about this, I think on Monday, right? The proverbial 9th floor.
Yeah.
I think that is probably like it's mental right now. I really believe it's mental with him. So giving him a chance to just kind of sit back, reset, reevaluate. I don't know for sure that's going to work with these mental things. You never know, but it's not a bad button to press. And I mean, button to press, they don't have an option. He's hurt, right? But even if he wasn't hurt, I would say, maybe not having him inactive, but certainly reducing his role would probably be the right move this week.
Yep. All right. I want to go to Drake in the offensive line, but before we do that, PrizePicks is accessible to all, the most daily fantasy sports accessible, and you just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. You can make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on PrizePicks. Barth and I will submit our Patriots game day lineup at the end of the show, so make sure you stay tuned to that, and then we'll tweet it out the day of the game, or you can extend it to the entire league with stars like Justin Jefferson. He plays tonight in LA against the Rams. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua back in the lineup, so you can get all those guys in your lineups. And PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your lineup live. So download PrizePicks today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup on PrizePicks. Run your game. All right. With Drake.
We got a little Patriots breaking news here.
Oh, really? What do we got?
This was like an hour ago. I missed this. You see they announced the keeper of the light for this week?
Oh, yes. Adam Vinatieri.
The GOAT, the best kicker of all time.
Has he been
Not
back
debating that.
since in any capacity since he's left? Since he signed away?
I think he played some games at Gillette as a member of the Colts, if I remember correctly. He did that once or twice. I don't think so. Besides that,
Was he on? When did he retire? Was he on like the 2014 AFC Championship game, the
I think he
Deflategate game?
was. Yeah, he retired 5 years ago because he's first year eligible for the Hall.
True. Yeah, so he's been back, but never like in this form. Is there a connection there? What's October 27th against the Jets? I mean, it's the Jets, but
I don't know. Just maybe it was the only week he could make it work. They
he
wanted
was
to get him
available.
back. He is a guy that they need to get into the Patriots Hall of Fame. So
Yeah.
maybe they obviously already had their inductee. Although I don't know, like they had their inductee for this year, which was obviously Brady. But was that its own thing? There's going to be another. No, I'd be too late for that because this is usually around when they would do it.
Yeah, because this was right around when they put Scar in last year and Vrabel.
Scar, Vrabel, Seymour a couple years ago. With Seymour, they always try to put guys in to like kind of help boost their Pro Football Hall of Fame case, right? They did that
Yeah.
with Seymour. They're trying to do it with Will Fork. Again, try to do it with Will Fork. Or did
I
do it with
thought
Will
they
Fork.
would.
He got in.
Yeah, I thought they would still do another one in addition to Brady.
I thought so
Because
too. So maybe this is like a surprise. Hey, here's a red jacket, Adam.
maybe there you go.
Hey,
Look at that.
he deserves it. I know that people got some pushback on that because he played for the Colts long and he played with the Patriots. He was here for 10 years. He hit the greatest kick in NFL history as a member of this team. He hit some of the most significant kicks in the history of this team. He was when he left the all-time leading scorer in the history of this team. The league's all-time leading scorer. He played here for a decade. He should have a red jacket.
Yep. I wonder if there is at one point where they start putting in like 2 guys per year, or because right now
I don't think so.
you think they'll stay true to it?
Because they need guys for once a year, and if you start putting into a year, I mean, there's going to be a little dead spot there where you may not have options. If you know what I'm saying.
That's
So
fair. I was just
got to
thinking
keep
like
that well primed.
there's so many dynasty guys that like, but yeah, maybe they really just want to stretch it as far as possible. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, Vinatieri deserves to get in there. So,
I'm
nice
not
to see.
reporting anything for the record. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, fair.
And I don't
And
think
we,
that's going to happen. I think they would have made a bigger deal about it.
and we never heard anything about the Brady statue, right? They never released a date with that. Or there looks like we can see the spot that it's going outside the White House. They have like,
I think they want him to be here for that. And
yeah,
there's obviously with him being with Fox,
it complicates
it's going to be
things.
tough to find a date, right?
Yeah.
It's busy on Sundays.
Yep. All right, back to Jets. Drake Maye, 2 encouraging starts. Looks like I mean, this is the team he made his NFL debut against, the Jets, late in that action, but it looks they blitzed a lot in that game. Probably will have a similar game plan. They have Hassan Reddick. Probably won't be a full go, but Hassan Reddick back on that defensive line. So a lot of man coverage, a lot of blitzing. What do you want to see from Drake to kind of keep stacking these encouraging performances together as we move on here?
Again, first of all, I love this. The Brady statue is getting moved left a little bit to make room for the Ben Brown statue. We put the Coy Cronk statue right next to
Ben
that.
Brown is awesome, dude. Like if you watch him like during the game, like he's throwing first down signals and like getting in guys' faces and sticking up for his quarterback. Like he is fun to watch out there. But
as for Drake Maye, I mean, again, keep the turnovers down, limit the sprays. And again, with hit, like I want to see them run him more. That's not like a him thing, but I think that's a big deal. But I mean, it feels like he's on track, right? I don't think there's a ton you look at coming into this game and say it needs to be different. It's just keep building on the momentum from last week. Don't go backwards.
Yeah, definitely the sprays have been the most consistent thing. We'll see if he can kind of dial those back, but yeah, it's been good. It will be nice to see him, if the Jets blitz that much. He's made some nice plays against the blitz. Van Pelt has been very complimentary how he looks against the blitz in practice. That was one of the last boxes he had to check to become the starter. So he's been handling it well, but if you get that much pressure in a game, you'd like to see how he bounces back and looks like that. And yeah, hopefully Pop Douglas is ready to go because they're going to play a lot of man, and that's his go-to guy against man. That's Patriots' best separator, so they're going to need a big game from Pop. So hopefully that connection looks good. He hit the first 2 crossers to him, which were ones he kind of sprayed his first start last week in London. So looked like their chemistry was finding each other. So hopefully that picks up where it left off, and Pop's good to go. He hasn't been on the injury report. He's been healthy now. So they'll need big games from those 2 guys. But if they get blitzed, how you feeling? Offensive line, can they protect them? I mean, I'm guess we're still looking at, or Vidarian Lowe's been limited, so I don't know if he'll be ready to go. But if not, it's probably back to Demontre Jacobs, Michael Jordan, Ben Brown. Layden Robinson hasn't practiced that ankle injury, so you're looking at City So at right guard, who has struggled. I know you have a couple days to finalize your trade deadline take on City So we won't ask you yet, but he might be at right guard, and then Mike Onwenu back at right tackle. So, I mean, we know we're not feeling great about the offensive
Right.
line.
At this point, it kind of is what it is. Like
Yeah.
they seemingly have settled on a personnel group. We talked about it at the beginning of the year, right? You move this guy to this position, sign this guy, cut this guy. It kind of is what it is at this point. I'm expecting more of the same. Pressure rate's probably going to be around 40%. Drake May's got to be ready to throw hot. Like, he's not going to get help from that group. I don't think that they're so actively in the way as they were at the start of the year, but they're not helping anybody either.
Yep.
They've almost kind of gotten a break in the pass pro criticism because they've been so bad against the run that it's like, just open a rushing lane and then we can get to the pass pro.
That's what I was going to say. Like, the big thing for them, like, let's get some yards on the ground. And this Jets defense, again, is vulnerable to it. But I mean, what was it last week or the last 2 weeks? It's like -2 yards before contact they've averaged. Like, it's bad.
I know it was 0.33 last week.
Yeah, and I think it was almost worse the week before. So, like, the backs, like you'd like to see a little bit more from Ramondre. Looked a little rusty last week in his first game back, but like, they're not getting much to work with. So let's open a rushing lane now and then. As much as we'd like to see Drake Maye run the ball, like, let's not have Drake Maye be our leading rusher on 3 or 4 scrambles either. Like, let's get something going in the ground game, and that comes back to the offensive line, opening up some lanes. But yeah, Quentin Williams could wreck this game with Michael Jordan and City So at guard. So we'll see. Hopefully there's not too much interior pressure there. But yeah, it kind of is what it is there. So that's what the offensive line's looking like. Anything else on the offense as a whole, Van Pelt player-wise, that's catching your eye?
I think that's pretty much it.
All right, so let's go over to the defense. But before we do that, game time. We all love going to either football games live or it's NBA season. The Celtics had an awesome banner night. They play tonight. They're in Washington, right? Yeah, because the Bruins are home tonight. And Bruins hockey season in full force. BC welcomes Louisville to Chestnut Hill tomorrow. So bunch of sports events to go to, and you guys can get all your tickets with Game Time. And Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite team play live even easier, because Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Let's see, Pat's home as well, obviously. Jets at Patriots, cheapest ticket, $62 right now on the Game Time app, or you can, of course, use Game Time Picks and move down to the lower level for 105 right under the lighthouse. Nice seat there. And then let's see, what are the Bruins looking like tonight? Who they got? Dallas, I think. If anyone's listening and wants to hop over, anyone listening in Boston want to hop over, Game Time Picks, $108, couple rows up from the glass. Not a bad seat behind the home goal there. So all your good tickets on Game Time. So head to Game Time for the lowest price guaranteed and other in-app features such as seat views, all-in pricing, and of course Game Time Picks, which makes it easier to save more on your sports or concerts, comedy, theater, or any other tickets you are looking for. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right. Let's do X's and O's because, again, we haven't talked about that.
Right.
The Jets mentioned the run game, two-headed monster, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen. I know run defense, it's a lot of just kind of effort, but would you like to see any change? And now, it's Rodgers and it's Devontae Adams, it's Garrett Wilson. How are you scheming this up to stop this? What are you focusing on if you're DeMarcus Covington? Are you making any schematic changes, X's and O changes from recent weeks to try and get some sort of life into this defense? Like, what are you doing if you're looking at this Jets offense to try to slow it down?
Yeah, look, that's a good question. And I'm glad I don't have to answer it, if we're being honest. Because what do you do? Like, you can't stop the run right now. And the only way you're going to make a change against the run, like, schematically or this and that, like outside of effort, is just sending bodies. And that can be playing more guys on the line of scrimmage. That can be blitzing, like specifically run blitzing. Either way, you're just sending more bodies at the problem. If you do that, you're leaving things open in the pass game. So do you sell out, stop the pass, and just kind of know you're going to get run on because you can't stop the run with 4 guys right now? They're not big enough. Outside of Devon Gottschalk, the big guys on the front are all not there. Or do you let them run it knowing they're going to be able to hit it on the ground anyway and sell out to stop the pass? I almost feel better if Aaron Rodgers is throwing the ball. And I know that sounds insane to say.
I was going to say the same thing.
But he's been hit and miss. Allen Lazard hasn't practiced. He missed practice again today, right? I didn't miss that.
Yes, I believe so.
So Allen Lazard, I have it right here. I should be able to check that. Allen Lazard, yes, did miss. So he hasn't practiced this week. Him and Adams are still sort of getting back on the same page. Like, Hall of Fame quarterback, one of the best of his era. I'm so petrified of what Braylon Allen and Breece Hall can do to them that I almost feel like you put the ball in the quarterback's hands. Like, this is a defense that missed 10 tackles last week. And you've got 2 bowling ball backs back there for the Jets. You can't let those guys get in the open field. You can't do it. It's not going to end well. At least you have a chance that maybe Rodgers throws you one, because he's kind of done that this year at times. Like, he hasn't been the same guy. I just don't, if they can't stop the run, none of it's going to matter, because the Jets will happily ticky-tack, run the ball up and down the field the whole game.
Yeah. And you saw, like, if a team's running, I don't know if it'll be 17, 18 runs in a row, but you can see the effect of that. Like,
Right.
The offense, then the Patriots offense doesn't have the ball, and it's just kind of a trickle-down effect. So that was something in the first matchup. The Patriots played a lot of, like, 2 deep safeties, and I think they averaged over 6 yards a carry on that against those looks. And I'm kind of with you. As crazy as it sounds, like, maybe devote an extra guy, put 6, 7 guys in the box there, and sell out to stop Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, and just take your shot, right? Like, if you have, you put Christian Gonzalez on Garrett Wilson, that's someone he's had success with in the past. Maybe rotate coverage then to Devontae Adams while, Rodgers and him are still trying to get back on the same page, and take your shot there. And I know, again, it sounds crazy, but, like, I just think that's your best bet, because if you don't, like, they're just going to run it 17 times, and you're not going to touch the football, and they're probably going to score. So I'm kind of with you on that. So you need a good game from Christian Gonzalez. Jonathan Jones, if he draws the Devontae Adams matchup with safety help, like, you'll need your secondary to be on top of their game there. But I'm kind of with you. So any players you're kind of looking at? If you do that too, you need some more from the pass rush. So it'd be nice if Keon White can get going. I know he's been kind of bothered with an ankle. Is it ankle or knee? I think it's ankle. Or was it knee?
I think it's knee. Yeah. So like, and that's part of my thing too. Like, I'm fine putting the ball in Rodgers' hand. You're probably going to need a blitz anyway if the plan to stop the run, because they can't get any sort of pressure up front. None. And they just have to be better at the line of scrimmage in this game, period, full stop. And he's Keon White, Joshua Uche, Daniel Aquale. I know he's banged up, but, like, somebody get a hand on the quarterback. And that's already an improvement over last week if they do that.
Yep. 0 quarterback hits last week.
Yep.
Good stuff. Do you think I don't know what else they could do at this point, but, like, personnel changes in the front 7?
They're just out of bodies. I mean, who else?
Talkie is the only, like, if he's healthy, in last week he was inactive because he wasn't healthy. Like if he's ready, that's the last button I feel like they could press. Like they signed Keyshawn Banks to the practice squad, who's a linebacker. I don't know if I'm doubting he's going to be ready to go. Like I don't know what other buttons they can press here, but I don't know. Is there anything you can think of that they could do there in that front seven, especially that linebacker level? Like that's where they've just been so bad. But like they've tried everything. They went to
Yeah,
Christian
they don't
Ellis.
really have.
They took some off of Raekwon McMillan's plate, and it just still didn't work. So
Outside of Sione Takitaki, like I don't know. I don't like Curtis Jacobs. You gonna play him more? Are you gonna call somebody up off the practice squad? Like they don't really have the bodies for it.
I was wondering if like Joe Giles Harris gets a shot, because
Maybe.
at least
Yeah.
like he was good in coverage in the preseason, and then maybe if you get Tavai back on the ball, like on the line of scrimmage, but I don't know if they're not doing that. There must be a reason in practice they're not trying that, because they should be trying everything at that linebacker position. So we'll see if they make any adjustments, but yeah, you got to get Keon White going up front on the pass rush. And get those guys get after Rodgers. I know he gets the ball out quickly, and contain Aaron Rodgers too. Like they've been better at that the last few weeks, but that obviously just killed them.
But I wonder if that's why they have no pass rush.
You think they've just been mush rushing kind of and focused on the contain? I don't want to say mush rush, but just more focused on the contain. So yeah, maybe we'll see if they let those guys rip a little bit more there. But yeah, it will. The other thing, like schematic wise, defense, just the base personnel. Evan asked DeMarcus Covington today because they have been playing a ton of base and they're getting killed in it. So Covington just said, you match it with what teams do, and the Jets was kind of the first teams to play those heavy groupings and force the Patriots into the base looks this week or earlier this season, and they just been getting gashed there. So either figure something out, try something new, or it's just going to be kind of repeat errors going there. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that or just the rest of the
I just don't know how
there.
I just don't know how you get out of base when you can't stop the run. Like if you can't stop the run in base, you're not going to stop the run in nickel. So they're kind of handcuffed right now.
That's where they miss like a Peppers there, because they could play the 3 safety nickel and have one of those guys in the box. So fun stuff. Fun stuff on the defense side of the ball. But let's wrap up with special teams. Besides Adam Vinatieri coming, I mean, it was a rough one. They gave up the punt return touchdown, gave up the 2-point conversion, was kind of because of the special teams errors with the penalty on Tavai there. So how do you want to see that unit just bounce back this week?
First of all, no penalties. Like no penalties. They've had 2 bad penalties in a row, like 2 weeks in a row, 2 bad penalties, no more penalties in that unit. And then Bryce Behringer, not out kicking his coverage. Like it's kind of become a thing now. And this is the first time he got really burned on it, but he had a couple others earlier in the year. It was like, might have kicked that a little harder than he should have. Maybe should have gone with the 3 wood instead of the driver, right? So just seeing him reel that in a little bit. And I would assume that's going to be on his mind this week after allowing that return. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Xavier Gibson for the Jets. He's a dangerous returner. Yeah. So that'll be something to monitor there. But that is our preview there. So let's do our PrizePicks lineup of the week here. Let's see. Let's get our banner up there. And we'll go to PrizePicks here.
All right. How many rushing yards for Braylon Allen?
Let's
just get right to the point here. Okay. How many rushing yards for Braylon Allen?
It's all Josh Allen. All right, let me just go to Jets, actually. Let's make that a little easier. Rodgers, Lazard, Braylon Allen, touchdown. They have Breece Hall, 75.5 rush yards.
Probably more.
They don't have Braylon Allen rush yards, sadly.
All right, well, we'll go Breece Hall more.
More than 75.5 rush yards?
Yeah, I just don't think they're going to fix it against the run this week.
Yeah. And then we'll go to Pats. Drake Maye, 23.5 rush yards.
Yeah, he's been, 18 and 23 last 2 weeks?
Yeah. So if they get one designed run in there for him, that should be enough with the 23. So we'll go more, 23 and a half. His pass yards are 214 and a half. Do you like that? Feel strongly?
Yeah, he's been over that number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll add more there. Let's look at some of the Patriots skill guys. Hunter Henry, 32 and a half receiving yards. They've had good chemistry. Ramondre Stevenson, 45 and a half rushing yards. If you think they can get the running game going.
Yeah, I don't. Not against this front, not against Quentin Williams.
Sadly, they don't have any Pop Douglas up yet. But Joey Sly, 1.5 field goals made, our guy.
Could be field goal week.
Field goal week. You want to put that in there?
Sure.
And then, do you like Henry, 32 and a half receiving yards?
That's probably like right about on the number. If you like it, take it.
We could throw it in there. They've had a good connection. He'll need someone other than Pop to throw the ball to.
And then I think, are we gonna put one on top of it? Because we got
let's
Cardinals
go random game.
All right, so what's the worst game this week? Here's what I'm looking at. Patriots Jets is up there, but Cardinals Dolphins, Eagles Bengals, Titans Lions, Saints Chargers, Panthers Broncos.
That game sucks.
Okay. Oh, Bryce Young's back, right? What do we got for Bryce Young?
Or we can go to the Cardinals game and hammer Chatter Island.
Oh, you know what? He's kind of earned that, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. Let's see Bryce Young though. Actually, they don't have him up because I don't think he's guaranteed to start
officially the starter.
Yeah.
What do they have? I don't even know who their number one wide receiver is. I almost said DJ Moore. I guess it's Xavier Legette, right?
It's Deontay Johnson, right?
Deontay Johnson, yeah.
Panthers. They got they have Johnson score a touchdown, which is probably
nope.
They don't have anyone up there because probably the quarterback play.
All right, should we take Chad Ryland?
Sure, let's do Chad Ryland.
Love it.
More than 1.5 field goals made. Ooh, that's one of all the field goal ones are like the wild demon ones. So that'll get
we have him and Sly with the demon.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got for multiplier here?
We hit our max multiplier.
Every week. I want that going up every week.
We can't get it higher than this. We have a 25-time multiplier.
Is that what it caps out as?
Yeah.
All right.
So we got Breece Hall, more than 75.5 rush yards.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Drake Maye, more than 23.5 rush yards.
Yeah.
Drake Maye, more than 214.5 pass yards. Joey Sly, more than 1.5 field goals made. Hunter Henry, more than 32.5 receiving yards. And Chad Ryland, more than 1.5 field goals made. 25 times multiplier. It's also, I think if you do six picks, it says lineup protection. So if you get just 5 right, you get your money back. So if you use code CLNS and you play that $5 hand, you win $125. If we go 6 for 6, if we go 5 for 6, you get your $5 back. But you would also get $50 instantly. You don't even have to win. So if you want to put then that $50 on this lineup, it's a $1,250 payout. Not bad right there. So
life's too short to pick less.
Exactly. We go big here. We don't like Mike always does like his 2-player lineups and he wins and he celebrates. No, we're going for the six person lineup.
We're going for the whammy.
The 25-time multiplier. And that of course is code CLNS on PrizePicks. Play $5, get $50 instantly. And then if you win and you get your 12 grand, you head over to PXG and you get a new set of irons, right? I think that would be the best place to spend them because everyone is always looking to improve their golf game, either hit the ball straighter, farther, not having to worry about hitting everything perfect to make a good golf shot. Barth and I were definitely worried about that out on the course, so we went over to PXG and upgraded the clubs in our bags. We went to the PXG in Framingham. We each got a set of the new Black Ops irons. They are fantastic. We are certainly hitting the ball straighter, farther, and not having to worry about hitting perfect shots every time. And then if you go to Framingham, you can even get fitted for them. They bring you into all their simulators in the back, and you get to work through all the TrackMan data, your ball speed, your club speed. You can look at the club angle to see if you're slicing the ball or you're pushing the ball, and you can fix that, and it helps everything there. And then when you get out on the course, it makes it much more fun because you actually get to hit the ball out of the fairway, and it goes farther and straighter, and it makes it a much more enjoyable experience out there. So upgrade your bag with PXG clubs and take your game to a whole new level. For a limited time, you can save $10 per club. So head over to pxg.com and use code CLNS. That's pxg.com, code CLNS, to save $10 per club on your order. Again, pxg.com, code CLNS. So one last thing before we wrap up, we'll do a little college football. Any thoughts from either last week? Texas got their big welcome to the SEC moment. Bama isn't looking so hot, or anything look ahead. I don't know how the slate, I haven't really looked at the slate this weekend, but
Yeah, it's pretty mad. The big game is LSU A&M.
I do know Wisconsin, Penn State, big one. But yeah, LSU A&M would be a good one. Will Campbell in that one. But any college football thoughts or takes you're dying to get off your chest here?
I mean, definitely not the best game for Will Campbell, for Kelvin Banks last week against Georgia. Now the guy he's going up against, Michael Williams, is a projected first round, maybe top 10 pick. But look, those are the kind of guys you got to face in the NFL, right? So, we'll see what he does moving forward. But you didn't get the overly dominant season I think you were looking for from either of these tackles. That doesn't mean that they're not worth drafting. That doesn't mean that they won't be good. But I just, I've been pumping Kelvin Banks tires a lot, and he had a rough game, so I feel like I should just own that. And just so that was my one thought on that. Alabama Kalen DeBoer might need to be one and done. That was the take I had.
Okay.
Like,
spicy.
You compare, I was with some people, and I was like, wow, Belichick and Saban both left, and both programs are like falling to shambles. And they're like, Alabama's ranked top 15, and it's only their second loss. No.
They don't look like Alabama.
Losing to Vanderbilt and Kentucky at Alabama is the equivalent of being 1-6. Like, it's just those are, you can't. DeBoer looks overwhelmed. He and I liked him. I liked him at Washington. I did. And not just liked him because he had good player. Like, I thought he had a good program. Not transferring to the SEC. So, I forget who they play this week. They play Missouri who's maybe on the most fraud watch of any team in the country. Alabama 13.5 point favorite at home, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with that one.
And then they have LSU. Looks like they have a bye and then LSU. So, I mean, ever since they went up 28-0 on Georgia, it's been all downhill because that game got way too close, and then they lost to Vanderbilt. They almost lost to South Carolina, and then they lose to Tennessee last week. So it hasn't looked great for Alabama. And then Kelvin Banks, not a great performance. I'm starting to get worried. We're talking about Will Campbell's arm length. I mean, Will Campbell has played really good, but we'll see the kind of how the measurements look and as we get more into draft season. But then, Kelvin Banks, I'm not sure if any of these guys are looking like slam dunk, like top 5 pick tackles, like a Joe Alt was. And I wasn't expecting them to be as home run as Joe Alt, but could be a tough spot when you need an offensive tackle at the top of the draft and you might not have a surefire answer there. But Ariante Ursary, my guy, is making some steam up the draft boards, it sounds like. So
I'll say this. Ted McMillan didn't have a great game against Colorado either. So it's
like that for receiver too. I was telling, me and Taylor were talking about it at practice. It's like they're gonna get the number 1 pick when there's no surefire home run quarterback that everyone wants to trade up for, or there's not a wide receiver they can move down a few spots and get, or a tackle, right? Like last year, you could have got Brian Thomas Jr. at 17, and I don't know if that guy is going to be there this year. It looks like maybe it's more of like the JSN Zay Flowers class than, the Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison, Brian Thomas class. And, you need a wide receiver, you need an offensive tackle. I don't know if there's a Joe Alt or an Olu Fashanu in this class. So a lot of time left, a lot of, I'm also saying this, like, I'm just watching these guys live mostly, right? Like, we haven't gone back and really studied these guys, so that could change things. But just like initial watch, it doesn't seem like, and I think we knew, like, coming into the year, it wasn't the strongest offensive class, especially. Like, it was a real good, like, there's a lot of edge guys to be excited about and some defensive line guys, which they obviously need. But, you look at tackle and receiver are the big needs there. And you see some inconsistencies with those top guys in the draft.
Also, like, this happens every year. Like, you get risers, you get your Jane Daniels, but there's always more fallers than risers, because you put these guys up on a pedestal at the start of the year, and because you're so used to looking at the previous class, you're looking at it on film, and you're looking at highlights, and you're looking at cherry pick plays, and you forget what it's like over the course of the season. You know who was a faller last year was Drake Maye, and he obviously looks pretty dang good. So, there's that element of it too. In the moment, it generally looks worse, and you go back and you look at the entire body of work. And you're like, all right, it wasn't perfect, but full body of work is there. It was solid.
Yep. Yeah. So hopefully it looks better. And then let's get some good quarterback play. Shador looks like maybe the number one, but if someone like Carson Beck or Cam Ward or someone could really elevate to make a number two and provide maybe a trade down option, that would be big for the Patriots. So everyone should be rooting for some good college quarterback play. There has Jalen Milroe, do you think, taken himself out of that? Or I mean,
yeah, it has been good for
really
him.
good in like the playoffs. Like if they make the playoffs and then he carves up some good defenses, like maybe he could bump himself back into that group. But I mean, people that first half against Georgia, like there you go, he might be the number one pick, and now he's kind of fallen back. It seems like
I think the QB1 right now has got to be Cam Ward, right? I don't know what the consensus board has.
Shador, right? I think it's Shador.
I think Cam Ward's been more impressive. Now he's in a better situation. Shador's not in a good situation.
Yeah.
And like they're close. I think it's Cam Ward. So right now the consensus board, and this is way, 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 way far out. They have they have 5 quarterbacks ranked in their top 30 prospects. Shador second, Cam Ward third, Jalen Milroe 10th, Carson Beck 11th, Quinn Ewers 13th. When it comes to the consensus mock, not the big board, which is different, they have, for quarterbacks, hang on a second here, they have Shador, they have Cam Ward going second, Shador going third, Milroe going 8th, and for some reason, Garrett Nussmeier going 19th, who's been like, I've been impressed with him compared to what I was expecting, but no, that's, although I was saying this the other day, like the Patriots need a JJ McCarthy to emerge and just win a bunch of games, even though he's not good and some team gives up too much for him. So we'll see. But yeah, it's in the, I go back and forth. Is it in the Patriots' best interest that there's as many good quarterbacks as possible, or that there's only one? It definitely doesn't help them if there's 0.
I think it depends. So if they get the number one pick, I think it's best there's only one, because then you have
sense. Okay, yeah.
If it's Vegas, Carolina, Cleveland, if all those teams are in the top 10, New York, then it's a all-out war to get up there and get number one. Like say it, Cam Ward is the only guy people are convinced is a top 5 pick, and you have number one, then it's everyone's looking at you to go up. But if there's multiple guys there, then someone's still probably going to go up and get their preference, but maybe the hall, there's not as many teams competing, and the hall just isn't as good.
I think it's basically whatever number pick the Patriots have after
that's
one,
how many quarterbacks you want.
You want one less.
Yeah.
Right. So if you have the second pick, first or second pick, 1 quarterback. If you have the third pick, you can get away with it being a 2 quarterback class. Or no,
I think you want the pick you have is as many quarterbacks as you want.
You're right.
Because if you're pick 3, like if you're 3 again, and then it goes quarterback, you want to sell for the last quarterback.
Right. So ideal. You're right. You want it to be exactly Exactly, or just more than the number. Because, well, there's also that element of, all right, you have the third pick. It's a 4 quarterback class, but you get to sell. You want to be able to sell the choice.
Yep.
That's what we talked about last year with the Patriots. Like, they didn't have the choice. The Commanders pick was worth more. Everybody's talking about, well, these teams are all determined to trade up. Why isn't what? Like, and I was like, well, no, if they really were, they'd be talking to Washington, because you want to be able to sell at the choice. So we'll see. We got a long way to go for that.
Yep. All right, we'll wrap it up there. We'll be back Monday, Tuesday, I believe, to break this one down. Pats, Jets, looking for some fight and, some life from the Patriots after an eventful week off the field again. So in the meantime, you can follow Barth on Twitter at RealAlexBarth. Head over to 985thesportshub.com to read his Patriots coverage. You can follow me on Twitter at I am Brian Hines, and head to patspulpit.com to read our Patriots coverage over there as well. And of course, subscribe to the Patriots Press Pass for all your content here on YouTube. So thank you everyone for tuning in with us tonight. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the football, and we will see you guys next week.